And he hasn't played in a year and a half. This is just wild. The Clippers lost to that Oklahoma City Thunder team last night. And, Kevin, we haven't even made it a week and a half into the season without Kawhi Leonard not playing. Now, we know he's not the Mount Rushmore. If Mount Rushmore only had one face.
Don't say that. Jalen Rose is really angry with you right now.
Okay. Sorry, Jalen. But if
the Mount Rushmore of what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Load management. If there was a Mount Rushmore of load management, there would only be one head, and it would be Kawhi Leonard. While we can debate the GOAT, people want to fight about Jordan and LeBron. Some old head pipes in with Kareem or Russell.
And then you got Kobe, right?
Yeah, you guys can all argue. There is no debate on who is the GOAT of load management.
None.
And he will never be defeated. Kawhi Leonard. Bro, we're like 4 or 5 games into the season. And he hasn't played in a year and a half. This is just wild.
Are you worried?
Yes.
Are you worried? Okay, I'm worried too.
It's been a year and a half, bro. Why doesn't he play basketball? And by the way, it's not like you brought him out and he played starter minutes, 35 minutes on night 1, and then it was like, too much, too fast. He was playing off the bench like 20 minutes. That one game, he came in with like 5 minutes left in the second quarter. It's like the first minutes he played in the game.
So
this is crazy.
It's scary because someone tweeted us the other day about a certain word that was used when he was on his hiatus from the Raptors. The injury at the time was quadriceps tendinopathy, whatever. I'm not a doctor.
Tendinopathy.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And from the injurysource.com, which sounds like a legitimate website, this describes the words we were using at the time, Chris, right? Do you remember this? It says, over time, if the tendinitis persists, the tissue can undergo changes that cause the tendon to develop more chronic pain. The underlying changes to the tendon can include degeneration of the tissue and increased nerve and blood vessel growth. The combination of these changes causes the tendon to be unable to handle the same stress it could handle before and be more sensitized to pain. Remember at the time when we were talking about, is this a degenerative issue? Is this going to cause long-term issues for Kawhi Leonard? That kind of went away for a while. But it's on my mind again right now, watching him come off the bench, not perform at the same level on the floor. After missing 1 year with the torn ACL, I'm scared, Chris.
And the other thing is, and then they're so defiant about it. That's the other thing that scares me. Whenever you're over the top defiant about it, it's like, it's not the same thing. This is just load management, just being careful, easing it back into everything, that kind of stuff. It's like, hold on now, right? Like he's been out a year and a half, played some basketball, and now he can't play basketball. And he wasn't even playing starter minutes. He played 20 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm. And not even, close to the same level. He can't do
that, and they don't play every other day anymore. There's breaks in the action. And
I'm nervous about it.
Yes.
How can you not be nervous about it?
Well, and the other thing is that's the linchpin. That's the best player on your team. That's the best player in your organization. And very, very difficult to have any level of leadership that would come along with it. Even if it's leadership, he's never going to be the vocal guy, but he is a guy that can lead by example. But
sure.
The example is almost never playing. And these guys, saddling up and having to go play another team the next night. And he's just not there. And every once in a while he's there and every once in a while he's not. And it's like, what? How did this extended amount of time not get him back to the point where he'd be able to play basketball again. That's what I would be like, what is going on here?
I haven't listened to the pod yet, but I know Bill Simmons did a Panic Watch rankings with Rob Mahoney.
I listened to it.
And they had the Clippers on there. I didn't hear the conversation yet, but I'm going to pass along a thought to you, Chris, and I want you to tell me like how much they discussed about this. Before the season, we were talking about the Clippers' depth, the amount of good players they have on their team. I had a phone call with an executive earlier in the week, and we were talking about the Clippers, and he's like, yeah, they have a lot of good players, but how many of them are really good? Like, they're thin. He's like, they don't have a lot of great, players coming off their bench. They're a thinner team. They have options, but it's like, he's like, John Wall at this stage is how good is Batum really? Reggie Jackson, your starter, like Terrence Mann, how good are these guys really after Paul George, Zubats, Powell, and theoretically Kawhi? And I thought about it in that way, and I get it. I don't totally agree, but I do wonder with their depth, Chris, how much of that was a component of their discussion, being a bit overrated than what we thought it was.
That was not part of their discussion necessarily. I mean, they touched on it. What I would argue is those guys are outstanding players to have when they're your 4 through 12, which is what they should be.
Next to star players.
In the absence of 1 and 2, it changes everything. Now, yeah, I don't want to have to go to war with, despite his playoff performance, Reggie Jackson as my second best guy out there, or Norm Powell, or whoever else. But if my 3 and 4 players through 12 are Norm Powell, Robert Covington, and Batum, and Kennard, and Terrence Mann, all these guys, like, that's where I don't think it's overrated their talent. I'd rather have those guys. That depth is outstanding to have. You got wings on wings on wings. The problem is it falls apart if the top 2 guys are not the top 2 guys. And I know in that game against Oklahoma City, George was crap too. Like, George has to be superhuman when Kawhi is out. That's the way it goes. But that team, they got to the West Finals by beating Utah without Kawhi Leonard. And I think they've gotten some better players since then. So, I mean, I think it's a fool's errand to say that they're not as good as we thought they were. I think it has a profound effect when the guy that's supposed to be your best player is unavailable. I think it's very difficult to build chemistry. I think it's very difficult to, they got used to playing without Kawhi Leonard. And then he's going to play. Is he going to play tonight for 25 minutes or 20 minutes or no? He's not going to play at all. And
I don't know.
I know, right?
It's weird.
I
mean, with him, it's so strange. So strange.
It's very hard to recall anything like this. Like a guy that would be a top 5.
I mean, here's the thing, though, Chris. Like, they might just be playing it super, super conservative. He is coming back from a torn ACL. The goal is to be great in April, May, and June. It might just be they're being insanely conservative here. Because, as you said, he's on the Mount Rushmore of load management. That might be it.
They're treating him more like, so Durant just jumped right back into it, right?
Yes, and KD is wired a different way.
And he's wired a different way. This is being treated like Clay.
Yeah. So it might be that. It might just be that. All I know is I only put that other thought out there about what we were talking about back at the time of the Spurs, absence when he went to the Raptors. I said Raptors hiatus. I meant Spurs hiatus. My bad. But I just wonder. We haven't used those words for years.
Yeah.
But it's just been on my mind watching this weird beginning of the season with Kawhi. It just came back.